Okay, good morning, students. So, in the last class, we just discussed about this molar specific heat capacities of gas, right? So, we will have a recap of last class for a few minutes. Then we will move to the next topic. Okay. So, coming to this molar specific heat capacities of gas. So, you can see there if a substance contains mu moles and requires heat. Okay, if a substance contains mu moles and it requires a heat of Q to raise its temperature by delta T. We call that as the molar specific heat, which is given by C is equal to Q divided by mu delta T. So moles is nothing but denoted as mass of the material denoted by molecular weight, right? So if you substitute that value of mu in the denominator, the equation what you are going to get is C is equal to Q divided by small m divided by capital M into delta T. So that comes out to be as m into Q divided by small m delta T. Okay. So hence this Q divided by m delta T is nothing but it is a specific heat, right? So hence the molar specific heat is nothing but equal to molecular weight into specific heat capacity. So that is the relation between this molar specific heat and specific heat capacity. Okay. So molar specific heat is equal to molecular weight into specific heat capacity. So next coming to the SI unit. The SI unit is nothing but joule per mole per Kelvin. Okay, that is the SI unit. So next coming to this molar specific heat capacity at constant volume and at constant pressure. So what is the meaning of that? What is the definition of that? So the quantity of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 kg of gas by 1 Kelvin. Okay, keeping the volume constant is called as molar specific heat of gas at constant volume. So similarly, coming to this specific heat capacity of a gas at constant pressure, the quantity of heat required to raise the temperature of 1 mole of a gas by 1 Kelvin, keeping pressure constant is called molar specific heat of gas at constant pressure. Okay. Next, we also just went through about this why Cp is greater than Cv, right? So why is that Cp is greater than Cv? So when you take an ideal gas enclosed in a cylinder which is fitted with a frictionless piston. Okay. So what happens when you supply the heat? So when you supply the heat, what happens? It results in the increase in temperature. Okay. Since we are dealing with the first case at constant volume, what happens? As we know that when you supply the heat, so what happens? The volume of the gas should increase. But since we are dealing at the constant volume, so the volume doesn't increases. So whatever the heat you are going to supply, that results in the internal energy, that is the temperature. Okay, will result in the increase in temperature of the gas. Okay, so that is the first thing. When we are dealing with the constant pressure, okay, so at that time what happens? As you keep on increasing the heat, so what happens? Some of the heat what you are supplying results in increase in internal energy, that is the temperature of the gas, and some of the amount of heat will be used to lift that piston in the upward direction. Okay, so hence it is said that more is the heat to be supplied for a gas which is maintained at constant pressure than at constant volume. Okay, so hence we say that Cp is greater than Cv. Okay. So next coming to this calorimetry. Calorimetry, as we know that it is a branch of science which deals with the measurement of heat. Okay. So the instrument used to measure the heat is called as calorimeter. Next coming to this principle of calorimetry or heat balance, as you know that statement of this calorimeter is nothing but heat lost by a body is nothing but equal to heat gained by a body. Right. So whenever you have the two bodies, one which is having the higher temperature and one which is having a lower temperature, when you bring them into contact, so what happens? The heat always flows from higher body temperature to a lower body temperature, so that until the temperature of both the systems become the same. Okay, once the temperature of both the body becomes the same, so the transfer of heat stops. Okay, so the equation, the heat lost by a hot body is given by m1c1 into t1 minus t. Similarly, the heat gained by the cold body is given by b is equal to m2c2 into t minus t2. So where t represents the temperature. Okay, temperature where when both the bodies are made into contact, so where the temperature of both the body becomes the same, so T denotes that temperature. Okay, so according to the principle of calorimeter, you can express that statement in terms of mathematics. So that is nothing but m1c1 into t1 minus t is equal to m2c2 into t minus t2. So this is regarding the calorimeter, right? I think we also went through about this change of state, right? So change of state, as you know that when you supply the heat, so what happens to an ice? It gets converted into water, right? So that is nothing but we call that one as change of state. Similarly, when you take a water and if you cool that, okay, so what happens? It gets converted into ice, correct? Similarly, when you heat the liquid, it gets converted into steam. When you cool that steam, again it gets converted into liquid. So this is called as the change of state. And we just also went through about this, what do you mean by melting, freezing, vaporization and condensation, right? So these are the things which we went in the which we went through in the last class, right? So in case if you have any doubts regarding the last class, you can ask. Okay, you can get it clarified. Any doubts regarding yesterday's class? Do you have any doubts regarding yesterday's class? Okay, fine. Okay, we will move to the next, that is temperature time graph. Okay, so just I'll read out that paragraph. Just go through along with me. When ice is heated by supplying a constant amount of heat, it melts at 0 degrees Celsius and converts into water at 0 degrees Celsius. The temperature remains 0 degrees Celsius till the entire ice gets converted into water. When the entire ice converts into water, and if the heat is supplied at the constant rate, the water begins to boil at 100 degrees Celsius and converts into the steam at 100 degrees Celsius. The temperature is recorded after regular interval of time. The variation of temperature with the time is shown in the graph. Okay, so as you know that when you take ice and if you keep on supplying the heat to that, so what happens? So the 0 degree Celsius of ice gets converted into 0 degree Celsius of water. All right. So next, if you keep on increasing the if you keep on supplying the heat, what happens? Water starts to the temperature of water reaches 100 degrees Celsius. So that 100 degrees Celsius of water gets converted into 100 degrees Celsius of vapor. Right. So this thing we are going to study by plotting the graph temperature versus time. Okay. So you can see there temperature of a substance does not change during the change of state of the substance. As you can see there, when you supply the heat, okay, to an ice which is at 0 degrees Celsius, so what happens? The temperature, the ice gets converted into water, right? So the temperature of the water doesn't changes until the entire ice get converted into water. Okay, so once the entire ice gets converted into water, then the temperature starts to increase from 0 degrees Celsius to 1, 2, 3, like that. Okay, so until the complete change of state, the temperature doesn't increases. That is what they have given here. So from the graph you can see there the temperature has been taken in the y-axis and the time is taken in the x coordinate. Okay, so temperature in degrees Celsius, whereas the time in minutes. So you can see that 0 degrees Celsius there. Okay, when you take a 0 degree Celsius of ice and when you convert that ice into water. So you can see from here to here, that means that the ice has been converted into water till here. Okay, so you can see there is no change of increase in temperature there, no change in temperature. Once that entire ice get converted into water, so next the temperature of water increases. You can see here the rise in temperature of water till here. Once the temperature of water reaches its boiling point, that is 100 degrees Celsius, what happens? Again, if you keep on increasing the temperature, what happens? The temperature doesn't increases. If you keep on increasing, I mean, if you keep on supplying the heat, what happens? The temperature of water doesn't increases, okay? But the water gets converted into vapor, okay, without increasing the temperature. So what happens? The entire water gets converted into vapor state. So this is about the graph temperature versus time. Okay, so the conclusion is nothing but whenever there is a change of state taking place, there is no increase in the temperature. Once the change of state takes place completely, then the temperature starts rising. Okay, so that is the conclusion of that. So next, coming to the next important topic, that is latent heat. Okay, so coming to this latent heat, again same thing. There's about this latent heat, you have been gone through in your lower classes, I think. Okay, so see here, just I'll read out that latent heat, the amount of heat required to change the state of a substance at constant temperature is known as latent heat of substance. Okay, the amount of heat required to change the state of a substance at constant temperature. Okay, so that itself is called as latent heat of a substance. And we have two types of latent heat. One is nothing but latent heat of fusion or melting. Next is latent heat of vaporization. Okay, latent heat of fusion is denoted by the letter L subscript F. Similarly, the latent heat of vaporization is denoted by L subscript V. Okay, so coming to this latent heat of fusion or melting. Okay, coming to this latent heat of fusion or melting, we are going to define that one as the amount of heat required to convert unit mass of a substance from its solid state into its liquid state at its melting point is known as the latent heat of fusion or melting of the substance, denoted by L subscript F. That is nothing but when you are converting a unit mass of a substance from solid to liquid. Okay, I think you are aware of this unit mass, right? So unit mass of a substance from solid to liquid, that is from ice to water. Okay, at its melting point is known as latent heat of fusion or melting. So let us see how we are going to express that latent heat of fusion in terms of equation. Okay, the amount of heat Q required to convert m mass of a substance from solid to liquid state is given by Q is equal to m into Lf, where Q denotes the amount of heat, m is the mass of the substance, and L subscript F is the latent heat of fusion. Okay, so latent heat of fusion or melting is denoted by Q is equal to m L subscript F. The SI unit of latent heat is nothing but it is joule per kg. Okay, it is joule per kg. In the CGS system, you are going to express the latent heat as calorie per gram. Okay, so this is regarding the latent heat of fusion or melting. So next, coming to this latent heat of vaporization. Okay, so the amount of heat required to convert unit mass of a substance from its liquid state to its gaseous state at its boiling point is known as latent heat of vaporization. It is denoted by L subscript V. So as you know that the amount of heat required to convert a unit mass of a substance from its liquid to gaseous state. Okay, So from liquid to gas at its boiling point is known as latent heat of vaporization. So to express that in terms of equation, the amount of heat Q required to convert m mass of a substance from liquid state to vapor state is given by Q is equal to m into L subscript V, where Q denotes the heat, m denotes the mass of a substance, and L subscript V is latent heat of vaporization. Okay, so this is regarding the latent heat of vaporization. So when you plot the graph, okay, that is the graph of heat supplied and the increase in temperature. Okay, heat supplied versus increase in temperature. So you can see the graph here. We are taken heat supplied in x-axis, temperature in terms of Celsius in y-axis. So you can see there, suppose if you take a ice which is at minus 10 degrees Celsius, let us say that you are you are supplying the heat to that. So that ice gets converted into water. Okay, so when you supply the heat continuously, what happens? That ice gets converted into water. Before converting into water, what is the initial temperature of the ice? It is minus 10 degrees Celsius. Okay, when you keep on supplying the water, when you keep on supplying the heat, what happens? The temperature of the ice, what happens? It changes from minus 10 degrees Celsius to 0 degrees Celsius. Okay, first the temperature changes from minus 10 degrees Celsius to 0 degrees Celsius. Next, after reaching the 0 degrees Celsius of ice, what happens? It gets converted into water from 0 degrees Celsius of ice to 0 degrees Celsius of water. Okay, so you can see the amount of heat required is nothing but it is 80 calorie. Okay, so the amount of heat required is nothing but 80 calorie. Okay, to convert an ice from 0 degrees Celsius of ice to 0 degrees Celsius of water. Okay, next you can see there is no increase in temperature here, right? So as long as the change of state takes place, no increase in temperature. Next, when the 0 degrees Celsius of ice gets entirely converted into water, so what happens? Then you can see the increase in temperature here. Okay, so next, what happens when the water once the water reaches its boiling point? What happens? Again, if you keep on supplying the heat, what happens? You can see here there is no increase in temperature. Okay, so the water gets converted into steam or vapor. So the amount of heat required to convert the water 100 degrees Celsius of water to 100 degrees Celsius of steam is nothing but it is 540 calorie. Okay, so it is 540 calorie. So this is regarding the graph of temperature versus heat supplied. Okay, so do one thing, just go through about this latent heat of fusion, then latent heat of vaporization, then the graph. Okay, just I'll give a few minutes, just go through. In case if you have any doubts, please let me know. Everyone go through about the latent heat. పూల నీవ So any doubts regarding latent heat? So go through about this topic, okay, because you are going to get a numerical based upon this topic, okay, about latent heat. So for solving the numerical, you need to know this. Okay, fine. Okay. Mm, Mukesh and Syed, sir, why we are using CGS system in graph instead of SI system? In the NCERT textbook, they have given the graph of CGS system, okay, plotting the graph in terms of CGS system. That is why we have used. Next, Mukesh, sir, what is the CGS unit of latent heat? CGS system, it is nothing but calorie per gram. Okay. See, since I have said in the beginning of the class itself, okay, we have three systems to measure the quantity of a substance. Okay, one is nothing but SI unit, SI system, one is CGS system, and one is MKS system. Okay, there are three different types of systems. So usually we make use of this SI system. Okay, so for measuring the mass, we are going to use kgs, right? So similarly in CGS, we are going to use grams. Okay, that is the difference. So in some of the cases, we are going to make use of the CGS system. Okay, so in the chapter units and measurements, I am going to explain that in detail. Okay, don't worry about that. Is it clear? Okay, fine. So no doubts, right, regarding this latent heat? Okay, fine. See, the next is effect of pressure on melting point. Effect of pressure on melting point, regulation. Okay, what do you mean by this regulation, or we call that one as refreezing? Okay, refreezing of ice we call. All right, so see, let us go through what do you mean by this. What happens, what will be the effect of pressure on melting point? Okay, so for this, in the figure you can see there. Yeah, before coming to the figure, let me explain that first paragraph, okay, so that it will be easier for you people to assume it. So consider a block of ice resting on two wooden blocks as shown in figure. Now take a copper wire, suspend weights with the free ends of the copper. Place the copper wire over the ice block so that weights hang freely as shown. So now see how we have taken a ice block of ice, okay, and we have made to rest that on the two wooden blocks, okay, and just we have taken a copper wire so that the copper wires, the two free ends of the copper wires has been connected with the weights, okay, and you are going to place that on the ice block, so that you need to make ensure that the free ends of the copper wire which is attached with the weights, it has been freely suspended. Okay, so this is the experimental setup. Okay, so next let us see what happens. Okay, after some time, see here I'll just read out second paragraph there. After some time, the copper wire passes through the ice block without breaking the block of ice into two pieces. This phenomenon is known as regulation or refreezing. So you can see, as the time passes, okay, after some time, the copper wire passes through the ice block, okay, without breaking it into two pieces, okay. So this phenomenon is called as regulation or refreezing. So initially that copper wire is on the surface of the ice block, right? So as the time passes, okay, so what happens, that copper the wire passes through the ice block, okay. So it passes through the ice block. So as it passes through the ice block, what happens, there is a refreezing of ice takes place, okay, so that it comes out of that ice block, okay, without breaking the ice into two parts, okay. So this is what we call this one as the refreezing, okay. So if there is no refreezing, as you know that the ice gets divided into two parts, right? But the ice doesn't get broken into two parts, okay, because the refreezing of ice takes place, okay. So let us see how does that refreezing takes place. So coming to that explanation parts here, I'll just read out. The pressure of the pressure of the wire due to the hanging weights decreases the melting point of ice in its contact. As a result, the ice below the wire melts and the water obtained so comes over the wire. This water above the wire is under normal pressure and hence refreezes. As the wire penetrates into the ice block, the ice under wire melts because its melting point decreases with increasing pressure, and the water formed due to melting of ice refreezes as it comes over the wire. Thus, we conclude that melting point of ice decreases with increase in pressure. Okay, so this is what happens. So as you know that when you place that wire on the surface of the ice, what happens, since you have placed the weights to the free ends of the wire, what happens, there is a pressure, okay. So there is a pressure exerted. So due to that pressure, what happens, since there is an increase in pressure, the melting point of ice decreases. Due to that melting point of ice, what happens, decreases. So the ice gets converted into water, okay. So whatever the whatever the water which comes on the surface of the wire, that water is under the normal pressure. So again that water gets converted into ice due to the normal pressure, and the same process takes place, okay. So with this thing, as the wire keeps on penetrating into the through the ice, what happens, the melting point of ice decreases, so that the ice melts into water. Again that water which is melted is under the normal pressure, okay. So since that water is under the normal pressure, so again that water gets converted into ice. So whatever the ice it is getting converted into water again gets converted into ice itself due to normal pressure, okay. So hence this copper wire penetrates through the ice block without splitting it into two pieces, okay, without breaking it into two pieces. So hence we conclude that melting point of ice decreases with increase in pressure, okay. So this is called as regulation, okay, where the ice gets refreezes, okay. That is called as regulation we call. So go through once about that effect of pressure on melting point, okay. So just go through. Ullas, what is the meaning of penetrates, okay? It passes through the ice block. Mukesh sir, what will be the, sir, will it be the same with otherwise? Yeah, it will be the same thing, okay. As of now we are only concerned with the effect of pressure on melting point, okay. Just go through about that. Yes, Gahana, you said that, sir, can you explain it again? Okay, before explaining, do one thing. You just read once, okay? You just read once, then I'll explain. It becomes easy to you to understand. கண்ணான கண்ணே கண்ணான கண்ணே போல நீவா நெஞ்சில் ಡ್ಯಾಡಿ 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 ಸ್ವಲ್ಪ ಮೆಲ್ಲಗೆ ಮಾತಾಡು. Yes, have you gone through? Okay, see you. I'll explain it once again. See, we are going to study the effect of pressure on melting point. Okay, so keep in mind, melting point decreases with increase in pressure. As the pressure increases, the melting point decreases. Okay, so see here, we have taken a ice block, okay, which is placed on wooden block. Next, we have taken a copper wire where the two ends of the copper wire has been suspended with a weight. Okay, it is attached with the weight. So we are placing that copper wire on the block. Okay, so that the two ends of the copper wire are freely suspended. So now, as you know that since we have connected the weights to the two ends of the copper wire, so what happens? The copper wire exerts the pressure. Okay, the pressure is more on that ice block. Okay, so due to the increase in pressure, what happens? The melting point of ice decreases. So due to this decrease in melting point of ice, what happens? The ice gets converted into water. Okay, so whatever the water, I mean whatever the ice which is converted into water, it comes over the copper wire. Okay, so that water will be exposed to, it is that water is under the normal pressure. Okay, that water is under the normal pressure, so hence what happens, it again get refreezes. Okay, in the same way, the copper wire passes through the ice block. Okay, so as it passes through the ice block, what happens? The due to decrease in melting point, the ice gets converted into water. Again that water converted will be exposed to normal pressure, so again that water gets converted into ice itself. So hence the copper wire completely passes over this ice block without breaking that ice into two pieces. So this is called as refreezing. Okay, so ice gets melted, it gets converted into water, again water gets converted into ice, so this is called as refreezing of ice we call. Okay. Okay, fine. Is it fine? Clear? Is it clear, Gahana? Is it fine? Did you understood? Nandita, sir, water doesn't flow down as it melts. Okay, Nandita. Yeah, some of the water will be lost. Okay. Okay, Rajesh, assignment for today, sir. Do one thing. Okay, the assignment for today's class is nothing but uh, just write down what do you mean by latent heat. Okay. Next, latent heat of fusion. Next, latent heat of vaporization. Write down the definitions of that with mathematical equation. Then just write down what do you mean by refreezing or regulation. Okay. Okay, what do you mean by regulation? Write the definition of that. After that, uh, Fabiana, no need of writing the diagram. Okay, just write the definition. So after that, in the last, after once you write the regulation definition, regulation or refreezing definition, below that write down just the melting point of ice decreases with increase in pressure. Just make a note of that line. Okay, so because you need to know that melting point decreases as the pressure increases. Okay, so this is the assignment for today's class. Okay, anything apart from that you need to ask? Okay, fine. With this thing, we will conclude today's class. Okay. Thank you, students.